Good morning.
How are you doing? Oops, I can't hear you. Just a second.
Can you hear me now? Yes. It's the Verizon thing will never go away.
I know, exactly.
It is with us for life. Even people who probably have no idea what that means.
That's true. Oh, and I'm trying to figure out how to make this sound from Zoom go through my real speakers. Hi, puppies. Good morning. They wanted to participate.
She always does at the wrong time.
She's like, "Are you talking about me?"
Yeah.
She could hear Dad moving around in the hallway, and so she was deciding to like make sure he knew where she was.
I'm in here in case you want to go for a WALK.
She doesn't like that. She won't go for walks.
Oh, because of the fireworks, huh?
Yeah, like many years ago, and like she won't even like. It's hard to even get her to go out and play it in the yard. A lot of the times, like you'll be like, "You want to go outside?" and she just looks at you like, "Do you not know what's outside?"
Mm-hmm.
Even to go
There's
to the
fireworks
bathroom.
out there waiting for us.
We fenced in our backyard, and we also have a dog run inside of our fenced in backyard, so that way, there's. But even to get her to go out into the dog run, sometimes we have to walk out there with her. Even if she hasn't gone out for like 8 or 10 hours, like she hasn't gone to the bathroom all night long. It's first thing in the morning, and she just stands in the garage. We got to walk out there with her, be like, "It's okay. Look, you can come out. Nothing's gonna get you." She is 70 pounds of I don't like people. I don't like the outside world.
A true introvert's dog.
Pretty much.
I'm with you, just let's stay inside.
My dog, I have to like pound on the floor to let him know that it's time to wake up. He's getting so old, he can't hear anything. My husband sometimes, and I'm like, "Stop, Charlie." I'm like, "Honey, he can't hear you. You're just yelling and waking me up."
Poor babies.
Okay, are we ready? What are we? Because Lauren isn't coming today, right?
Right.
Okay.
I forgot to log in and get the.
I know, I got to do that too. That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Okay. I always log in a different way, because I don't usually use it like that. Anyway.
And I'll have to admit, there's a lot about 360 that I think I'm going to like, but right now I feel lost because of it. I don't know, and I think it's my age. I think I'm just.
Nope. I had students that are starting in this C4 group that are really upset because they just figured out the old system. And now she's like, me and my mom had to Zoom and we still couldn't find it.
Oh, yeah. So many things.
Well, some things aren't on there. That's the other thing. They just kind of threw it out there and started waiting for people to tell them they couldn't access things, I think.
Well, like
Yep.
digital measures or the faculty success.
No, I mean, there was no link.
Right. Like you'd even use the search and it would be like, that doesn't exist here. And it's like, oh, well, it did exist in Banner. So
Yeah, I don't like the fact that I think I might have found some of this stuff, but like there used to be an easy link to be able to find, students' transcripts. Just to kind of be able to look that stuff up. And now, actually the biggest one was, how do I determine when one of my advisees is eligible to register? Like I had
That one I'm sending right up to the dean's office right this second. Students
I-
can't figure it out either.
I
They
think I
can't see it.
figured out where it's going to be. Because what was it? Where did I go? Oh, yeah, I did a search for the student, and then I went to, like, they have like, when you click on their name, it brings up, like, you can view their profile, and in the right-hand corner, they've got like this thing that says like registration notices, where it says overall academic standing, student status, permit registration. Like, I think that that's where that information is going to go, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't know if they've put the holds on yet for the spring semester. Because if they put the holds on, then that's the wrong area. It says 0 holds right now, so that information I think is going to be right in that upper banner in the student profile. And that's where I found that, oh, now that's where I can go to view an academic transcript, but you have to go to the student's profile to see all that information.
You can see their transcript from there. The only way I could find it was to link onto the extender documents under the
No,
advising.
if you go to the student's profile,
You can find it there now?
yeah, it's on the left-hand side. It says academic transcript.
And has anybody figured out how to do a group? You know how with the class list and the advisee list, you used to be able to click and get an email like group and pull it over?
Yep.
I can't figure out how to do that now with the advisee list anymore because
I think
of
that
the
they
way
want
it
you to use, my guess is they want you to use Navigate for that.
Nope, there's another place. So under faculty tools, list class by CRN. Oops, you have to change this. They added oh shit. They changed the year all the way up till fall. Fall 2023.
So under advisor and faculty tools?
Yep.
Yeah, but that gives you like your class email. It used to be where you could pull up a list of all of your advisees.
Oh, you want your advisees or your class list?
She's talking about advisees. You used to be able-
Advisees, and I went in Navigate to try to get and I could go and get each individual one, but I couldn't, like how in this with the class list, you can hit and get the like a bulk email and
Yep.
then make a,
Yep.
I can't do that. I can't figure out how to do that in Navigate.
Well, I'm showing you how to do it here. So if you do class list by CRN,
Okay.
pull up a class, go all the way to the bottom. You can display email list there, or even on the very, very bottom, you can do summary class list. So a lot
Yeah.
of people use summary class list.
Yeah, but
I
that
do
doesn't
that.
that doesn't give you your advising email list.
Correct, but it gives you your class list.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
email list. Yeah.
Yeah, and I used that, but then when I went to make my advisee list for this semester to send out my, hey there,
Yeah,
here's some
they want
updates.
you to do that through Navigate.
But when I went into Navigate, I couldn't figure out, so I ended up having to go copy paste to try
Yeah,
to.
I think they want you to actually send it through Navigate,
Oh.
which is actually, I did it last fall and I've been doing it each semester, and it's actually kind of nice to do like a message campaign, because then I can send out my welcome, and then I immediately set up what they call the nudges. And so then I have a nudge that's going to go out in at the beginning of October. That's like, hey, the class list is going to be visible soon. Don't forget to look at it, set up your advising appointment. And then I have another nudge set up for the day that early registration starts. That says, hey, early registration starts. Did you set up your advising appointment? So they want you to use Navigate to send those messages. And the way that Navigate works is students can then respond to those messages and they go right to your email. So that's why you know, I think that you can't find that email list anymore in Ferris
Actually,
360 as
think
they
you
want you to do it
can.
through
I think
Navigate.
you can. I just, if you go to here, enable my search, enable my share for a minute.
It is on.
Okay, good. If you go to you go to all faculty tools and you go to, wait a minute, I just had it.
Advisee
No,
listing.
no. Go to all faculty, type in advisee and search. And then it says advisee search. Now you're gonna think that you only get one at a time. But if you click on that and you go here to where it says view my advisee listing, if you put in fall 23, view my advisee listing, I clicked on it, and voila, it's there.
Yeah.
And And they won't allow you to print 10 per, or 20 per page max.
And they won't, and it doesn't.
Give you
But
an
I see
email.
what you're talking about now, Heather. You can email all
At the top.
from the system.
Yep.
See, one
So
thing that
it-
I
It's
do,
right there,
Debbie,
email all.
every semester I run, and I do it every semester, I run a web focus report. And it's, you know, for the entire college, but it
Yeah.
tells me like all of my advisees, if I'm primary or secondary. And I take that information and I have a running spreadsheet so I can see, you know, when I lose people and stuff. But then I have all their email addresses and I just keep it in a spreadsheet. So that way, if I do need to send emails, you know, I have it from that web focus report.
And web focus is still available?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I do that every semester, and that way I can also, you know, it helps me to keep track. I keep a spreadsheet, so I'm like, oh, does so and so need this particular class? You know, that way I can keep track of other things like that in my spreadsheet. But I love me some Excel.
And in Navigate, I just noticed that it doesn't give me all my advisees. So if I'm listed as a minor for the bioeds, they do not come up on my Navigate list.
Yeah, you have to do different searches for that because I'm the secondary advisor for the Life Tech students who are doing that early middle college program. Dee Dee's their primary advisor. So I actually had to contact somebody and they had to figure out what search I needed to do to pull them up. And so you can do a special search and you can actually save that as a list. So that way you don't have to go and do like awkward searches every time. And if you, because I do a message for all of my advisees, even the Life Tech. So I have a little list that's called Life Tech. So I do my first search for my majors, and then I add on the people in that second list when I do my messaging campaign. So
Yeah.
it's weird, it's awkward if you're, you know, doing multiple things. So
This is what I just in chat, I just posted what Ann London sent me when I said, how do I find my minors in Navigate?
yeah.
That's what the little thing about I is Ann. Because I contacted Ann, I was like, I can't see my minors.
Yeah, I went to Anne first, and then Anne actually had to refer me to somebody else because of, you know, trying to do the whole
Right.
you know, DD thing.
Yeah, because that's a
Did you-
special thing.
When she's saying I usually run minors separately, are you talking through Web Focus or Navigate?
Navigate.
Okay.
Yeah, the web focus report I do for the entire, you know, our entire
Yeah,
college. So it's got
me too.
everything in there.
Oh, yeah.
I get that as well. But usually when it's just my advisees, I do it all through the system. I do the whole thing for the department, but actually Trish does it. I'll be honest. I don't do it. I could. I just look at Trish's sheets.
All right.
Since we're talking about this, do we want to deal with the scheduling thing? So I
Yeah,
was
why don't we,
talking- I
Mom?
was talking to Beth yesterday and I had there are the second year students who need English 250, but then we need Beth's STEM group needs first year STEM group, the current one needs 250 because we
Or
got
something.
or something, because we've got to have a course that we can attach the study session to.
Well, do we know whether the previous C4 is gonna fill the
It
one?
will.
Could we combine them?
I'm thinking we probably can.
And would that be a good time for them, or would that conflict with?
No, we're gonna leave it because if we lose a few, we lose a few that, they take. But I'm trying to, without going to that's what I'm worried about, is that we need two sections and not just one, and both sections would have other students. Not just second year and first year C4.
But if you could put them all in there, that'd be nice. If they were all first year and second year C4s.
Let's see.
So that'd be my 150s from last year
Right.
and my 150s at my 3 p.m. 150s, both following me up into that. That I think if we could, it really depends on how many you think you'd be losing.
What days are they again? Tuesday,
Monday,
Thursday?
Tuesday, Thursday, 8 a.m. So it would be 8 to 9:15.
That's okay.
Okay. And then I'm thinking, I know if we have not done the Wednesday workshop for them in the past, I don't want to, if that's a change, then that's a change. So like my thing is either don't do the workshop, or then we have to say the workshop's something we added intentionally for 250. And I feel like, at least for my 150s that I have now, that 3 p.m. class, they won't need a workshop if they're in that class. And a lot of my 150s from last year, I don't think would need a workshop either. So
That would work better because I would need the Wednesday at 8 o'clock for their biology.
yeah, so I would prefer not to do the workshop because right now we don't really have a research reason to make a change in 250 if we haven't done it before. So I'll just tell Jody
Nope.
to drop that up.
Drop that one, but then add a workshop in the afternoon that I would be doing for study
Okay,
attached to it. So then we have a study session, which still makes them go to study. That's where we need a workshop.
right.
Yeah.
And we could still make it Monday, Wednesday at 4:30. Kirk, are you doing a workshop for something?
Yeah, but for the first years, that gets attached to the reading class.
I know, but is it Monday, Wednesday at 4:30 still?
Oh yeah, we can still do Monday, Wednesday.
Okay, so Monday, Wednesday, 4:30 to 5:15, Debbie. Do you want me to type that in, or is Kirk doing it?
No, I'm looking,
know.
I'm trying to count last year's group to see how many I think there
Okay.
is. So I go,
Because 250 is 23. Boy, I am losing is it 25?
I think we have 19 or 18 in the C4 STEM.
Yeah. And then
One of-
some of them always kind of drop out because they've got a schedule conflict or whatever. Although
Right.
8 a.m. is a good time to not have a schedule conflict. So
so
Yep.
at maximum from the at maximum from the current second year group, they're like 12.
That's a lot. That's
That's
30.
that's
Yes.
30.
Yeah.
And do
But-
you think they'd all get in there? Because see, last year I only had Zach, Olivia, Sarah,
Well, you know what?
Holly.
When I meet with the folks, I'm only gonna take the ones that I think really need it. So,
That
No.
need like a study session attached?
No. The study, no, the ones who really need to still be with the cohort. There are some that I think they're fine. In other words, they could just take a 250. Or they could wait to take a 250.
He's letting them fly.
Fly birds,
So
fly.
what's the maximum? So you have 19, right?
I have a question really quick here.
Sure.
So this idea of letting them fly, that's kind of breaking our entire like
Right. Mhm.
cohort model of saying, well, you don't really need it. So then how are we able to claim that we're kind of doing this intentional, keeping them together? I mean, if there's an exception where like literally their other class schedule really prohibits them from being able to stay with the cohort, then I can see maybe breaking with the model. But if we start making that decision, then it becomes, what's the point?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I would have to have, so let me look back at the schedule that
So
Jody gave
So
me.
you really are gonna need 2 sections if we're gonna do 250.
But a devil's advocate view is that the whole first semester, they weren't together as a cohort. You're bringing them back together and you're telling me that last year only a handful came back together. And if only a handful comes back together every year, is the coming back together necessary or not?
Well, part of the reason there was only a handful was because that group was a little bit smaller to begin with, and there are a lot of students who didn't get to the second year.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the reason.
okay.
The current second year group, there are more students around. And that it's a little bit stronger, and they really should be together if we can make them be
Okay,
together.
so you know what I could do is I could ask Jody if I could switch my English 150 online and make it an English 250 face to face on Tuesday, Thursday, 8 or Monday. No, you need the Monday, Wednesday open for biology. Would Tuesday, Thursday, 9:30 be a bad time to do the 250 like run over? Does that make sense? I mean, what would be a good time to do a 250 for because then what we say is we have two 250s for C4 students.
And they can pick
And
either one.
I feel like 8 a.m. Tuesday, Thursday is a really good time to keep a lot together because it's a time that they usually wouldn't have conflicting classes. But then the question is, what is another time? Like,
Well, you could do an 8 to 9:15 and then do a 9:30 to 10:45. And the students in the current science students, 8 to 9:15 probably works.
but would the 9,
Would the
But would that-
9:30 work for the other group?
yeah,
Would
see,
all-
that's a real popular time for people to teach. I mean, I could even,
You can flip them. You could keep the earlier one for the C4 original. If you use that block, C4 STEM, I don't think needs it. Maybe.
Well, no, the STEM group does not absolutely have to have English 250. The STEM group needs a class that can have a study session attached. That's what the STEM group needs.
So either 250 or math
Now,
one.
one way to get around that would be Beth's going to have the science students take biology and chemistry. And we could just go for them taking pre-calculus, and either Lauren or I take the pre-calculus class, which means it would be geared toward that group.
I'm good either way. And the other thing I could do is ask Jody if she could just take off my 150 and give it to somebody else and have it sitting and just find a time once we know what everybody's schedule. I mean, I'm really I like Tuesday nights are my only night that I couldn't do something, because I could even do like a 3-hour Wednesday night if I needed to.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's keep the 8 to 9:15 for, let's keep the 250, 8 to 9:15, and then Beth and I will have a conversation about the current science group.
Okay,
Whether-
but should I
whether-
tell Jody to put 150, give 150 to somebody else
Yes, yes.
and have a 250 waiting in the wings for
Have
me?
have a 250, and we just have to decide, we have to determine when that works.
Okay,
Yeah,
because my linguistics class is online.
yep,
So,
yep. And then Kristen, you just need to do what we've done every year. Attach a Monday,
Yep.
Wednesday study session to the 176.
Yep.
Okay. I'll send out a message that'll summarize this somehow.
when does everything get put in stone, like set in stone for the schedules for spring?
It only needs to be set in stone by the time registration starts.
Yeah. You know,
And
the
then-
other thing I could do is do that 250 online for the STEM.
They don't like it.
They don't like it. No, they
Yeah.
don't like,
Even just FSUS is hard
yeah,
for some reason.
Yep.
yeah, I think we try to avoid that.
Okay. I'll
We
just tell her to put a 250
Now,
on.
the science, the current science group, the first years and the second years they all get to register early.
Early.
Yes.
But you have to put that list in. Did
I-
you put it in this year?
I send that list every semester to Eric. So
Okay, last year it
Yes.
did, the STEM group didn't.
the
get-
STEM did not, because I did not put that, I was not careful enough to put that in.
Okay,
But this year I'm gonna take all of them, put them in one. And have Eric put all of them at the beginning.
Okay.
So I need to. But we'll get this, as long as we've got it before you start putting students in classes, we're okay. When we're not okay is when it's already started.
Yeah.
Then there's always a problem.
you like the 3 o'clock, Debbie? Is that what you're saying?
Oh,
What would you prefer?
I don't like teaching at 3, but I would.
But
I'm a
you're
morning-
thinking nine.
I
nine-
am a morning person, but I can do, I can, like, it's working this semester. Yeah.
But then-
I'm starting to like drop off around.
But you're saying 9:30 on Tuesday, Thursday, what else? You would prefer that?
Right, because I am a
Okay.
morning person, but
If
if
it
I
doesn't
had
work.
to, I could do something else. But the other thing is, it's funny because evening classes work for me, because so I could always do something after one of the study sessions if they still had energy. Because then I just have a weird thing. My kids even know it. They won't let me drive between 1 and 4 because they know, like, mom,
I'm zones out.
mom's popping peppermint and turning up the music and clapping to it when I drive in the afternoon. So
You need a siesta.
yeah, exactly. When I lived in Taiwan, I loved it because everybody took a nap in the afternoon. The students, everybody, we would go back to the classroom after lunch and we would all put our heads down in a college classroom and get a nice nap in. And I loved that.
Okay, that English doesn't work.
What?
Tuesday, Thursday at 9:30 will not work.
Okay,
on
so
biology and
I can do
chemistry.
3. I'll just take a nap at 1.
Do you want to do it at noon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine anytime. I'm just,
Well, I don't know what your schedule is, but I mean, if you wanted to do it at
well,
noon, that would work.
everything else is online.
Oh, so would a noon be okay? Tuesday, Thursday
Yeah.
at noon?
Mhm.
Oh.
Yep.
That's right before 1 o'clock, Debbie.
That doesn't
No.
conflict with anything.
I
Then you
can
have the
nap right
biology-
after it.
That would work.
Okay, that'd be perfect. So I'll tell her swap the English 150 for
This is another, oh, yeah, the English. Yep, 150. Yep.
and English 250 at 12 noon Tuesday, Thursday.
And then attach a workshop Monday, Wednesday. I lied. Tuesday, Thursday. I'll tell you. I'll send you a note. I gotta get the labs in.
Okay.
Yeah. There's less classes and they don't always fit together.
Okay.
Okay. Are we ready to go through
Yeah.
the
Yep.
list?
Yep.
So let's go through the regular group. So if you have all your stuff pulled up, that'll be great, because that's what'll make it go. So we'll just go right down the thing.
Yep.
Okay, Ashlyn.
So for
Being
Ash-
color coding for those or not?
yeah, she was yellow.
She
She
was
was
yellow
like, I don't have
before.
any color coding on mine for them anymore.
Okay.
Well,
No,
Is
that's-
it just be?
she was yellow 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Try
she
voting it again.
in my class, she's C. She has a C, but she keeps like I'm seeing her missing things. Like I think the reason she has a C is like, and it's very strange because I'm comparing her to her sister, but in some ways it's like her sister will turn something in and have all the pieces, and
Mhm.
Ashlyn will not have all the pieces. And
Yeah.
so I'm just like thinking back to her having an accident, and in her journal, she expressed the fact that she has a lot of fear still walking around and riding around campus, that she's going to be hit.
Hmm.
So she may have a little PTSD stuff going on there. And it
So,
may be affecting her ability to attend to detail. I don't know, so I'd rather just keep her in yellow and watch her, because she's not failing my class and she's not missed major things, but it's just been a little bit of a concern for me. And if she continues to miss those little details, then I think we might want to ask her to talk to somebody about PTSD. And if she keeps expressing that she's nervous about, I don't know, has she expressed that to anybody else about the kind of fear?
Not really. She's doing fine in mine. She's kind of quiet still, but she's actually doing better for me than her sister. So,
Oh,
you know,
so who knows?
but so just different strengths.
Yeah, that might be it.
But Elena's doing fine. I mean, she's got an A-, so she's fine.
so she's okay in everything else. So it was the low in math, the detail in English, and yeah. And I offered to help with math in the study session, but she didn't want to take it. So I may push a little harder on that. So do we need to do anything other than just keep her in yellow? I mean, what's going on in FSUS? You got to.
I'm like, I'm hitting the mute thing and it still isn't working. I mean, no major problems.
Okay. Okay, what about, let me put okay and everything else. So we're not gonna take any action. We're just keeping an eye on her, right?
Right. I just want to keep her in yellow one more session.
Yep. Okay, Elaine is okay, right?
Mm-hmm. It's good for me.
Okay. Um. Sienna,
Good for me.
So she missed a class and the workshop. But her grade's fine. So as long as she comes back as strong as she was doing before, we're fine.
okay, what about FSUS?
Fine.
He's fine. Hang on a second, damn it. All right, so we'll put her in green. Nate,
Good.
okay. Dayton,
Good.
well, Kristen's talking, but I'm assuming, is that true for everybody else, that he's good? I mean, that these folks are good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's doing fine and his grade's fine. He just, sometimes he's a little, in my class, he's a little lost, but that might be because it's 8 a.m.
No, he's like that.
Okay.
I've seen it. He's like that. He's a lot more, he's actually more with it than what his
What do you
than
share?
what his public persona suggests.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lexi Danilo.
I don't have her.
Right, you don't have her because she's right.
Doing great.
Yep. Emma.
Not so good.
Just a second. I'm gonna look back at mine.
Is there a problem in English or FSUS with her?
Her attendance is not great, but she's doing fine as far as her grade is concerned, and she's turning in her assignments. It's just, yeah, her attendance.
Yeah, I think that might be possibly a common thread, you know, because she's getting her work done in the class, but in terms of actually like, you know, meeting, that's, you know, where the issue is. So she might be one of those people that, you know, might
Yellow.
excel in like online classes because she's like, I don't want to talk to you. Just let me do my work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so do we want to do anything about that?
I'd watch her. I think we can put her in yellow and watch her for a couple weeks here. I mean, she has a C- for me, so
That's not good.
no.
Okay, McKenna.
Good.
Everybody's good.
Yeah.
Ben.
Good.
I
Good.
mean, C- or C.
No. C.
Yeah.
And he's not doing well in UNIV from what I remember. So
Yeah, we talked about him last week being kind of a little bit like, I
Yeah.
don't need this extra stuff, you know.
yeah, but
He's doing really well in English.
he
Right.
probably just has like some self-awareness things.
All right, well, I'll put him.
How's he doing in math?
He's not listed on her concern list.
Okay. Well, okay.
I have to see him. He's on for this week. I'm seeing him every other week. He's on for this week if he shows. And he actually came to a study session, which was his first time.
Good.
So
I
that
had
was-
them I have them like do their own ELPs and upload
right.
current progress. I think that will be helpful for some of them.
I didn't speak to him particularly, but I spoke to the class about ELP one more time, just trying to
Mhm.
say, because I couldn't find a time to kind of pull him aside, but I thought I'll just say it to everybody.
Uh-huh.
Let's remember, because I brought up extra credit and I
Mhm.
said, so let me differentiate extra credit from ELP and how we think about it. So maybe that, to try to tell the importance of it, that this is showing that you're professional, that you're dedicated. And this is, you go do that extra thing and expand your horizons, and we give you some credit for that.
Yeah, and when they
So-
meet, when they meet with me every other week now, because I don't have to do the math interviews. What's happened in this last round is I ask them, what's an academic area that you want to work on or you think you need to work on? And then what they do is they tell me what that is, and then I follow up with an email where I take a couple lines and mention the framework, and then I throw out some suggestions and I say, if you come to the next meeting with some documentation about what you have done related to this area to work on, I will advocate for ELP in all of your cohort classes. So we'll see how that works. That may not go anywhere, but at least it's something. So they're hearing it on all fronts. They're hearing it from me. They're hearing it from all of you. And so we just keep hammering away at it. So yeah, I've got him in yellow. Josiah,
Good.
yep. Zoe,
Good.
yep. Ariana,
Not good. She has a
Okay.
D-.
She turned in her paper, her final paper, as pictures of a text. Her phone, they were snapshots of her phone. And I say rough drafts can be anything you want as long as they're readable. Final drafts have a format. And I opened up she didn't show up for her grading conference. I opened up her paper, and it's 5 JPEGs in black and white. However, she did send me a long, very nice email about missing my class, because she has missed my class a couple of times.
Yeah,
One
attendance is an
because of-
issue.
One because of a family loss, I believe, or a family
Something, yeah.
problem. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I'm wondering if there's some distractor going on there that I don't know.
there
It was like
is.
she had to leave right away for that or something. And so
There is, there's her aunt, not the aunt she lives with, but the other one.
but her email was very nice, very professional.
I'm
What
meeting
about-
with her on Monday.
Yes, and she's been meeting with Beth because she's interested in, she's interested in,
Dolphin training.
dolphin
Yes.
training, yeah.
So I could talk to her about the importance of class and making sure she's reading the assignments and reaching out to everyone.
Mhm.
And I'll take notes for what you write down here.
Yeah.
Maybe talk to her about it.
Yep,
Just put her in red. Because she is struggling.
okay, Faith,
Good.
Good.
Gary,
Good.
Average.
I just need to tell a happy tale about Gary. So he was just struggling, and then at the workshop, I could see he was still struggling, and I couldn't get to him because everybody else was, like I couldn't give him the time he needed. But I had him come to my office hours. He came, and I made him stop and think about himself. And he came away, and because it's a literacy narrative, so you have to think about how. And he was like, "I'm a visual learner." And he was like, oh my, and like, he just, because they have to analyze, what does that, what does my narrative mean for me now? And he was just like, like, it was eye-opening. His paper improved to almost 100% because he suddenly was like, oh, I see why we're doing this. We're telling what we did and then analyzing what that means for now. And he just like walked out, and like, so I
It
was
made
really
me-
happy about that.
When you said that, that made me wonder, in your assignments, do you call it a narrative and not use the word writing?
I call it a literacy narrative.
They
And
might not know what that means. I wonder.
Oh, well, but we read literacy narratives and I break it down and teach them how to write dialogue. I teach
Okay.
them how to put specific detail.
I'm just wondering.
I have
I
them,
I
yeah,
heard the big words and I thought someone who doesn't know what those words mean, they
Right.
might not know. They mean writing.
Mhm. Well, he actually wrote a story very well. He wrote a story very well about learning how to read and how he found this really cool book series. And he wrote the story, but his analysis was like, it was just like, here's my story about me being a reader. And then there was no analysis. And I even went over analysis and, like, this is how you analyze what's happened before. And he just couldn't,
I
he
get
couldn't,
there.
he couldn't
He seems,
reflect on it.
yeah, he's very concrete, right? In his thinking. Do you think
Very.
so, Debbie?
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
his realizing that he might be a visual learner helped him think about that. And I said, because then you might want to start taking things that seem abstract and thinking about ways to make them visual for yourself,
Mhm.
like putting them in blocks or, and, so.
He came to me, because he had a journal due, and he said, well, I just wondered if there's a faster way to do this. I mean, before in the past, I would never remember anything I read, and I've been writing a summary after every couple pages, and it really helps me remember. But I was just wondering if there's a faster way to do it. And I said, not really. You'll get faster over time. But I said, I'm listening to the things that you're bringing up in class, so you remember what he goes like. Yeah, I've never remembered before, and now I'm remembering. So. And he made the office hours on his own, so he's being proactive.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but he just probably didn't really engage in a lot. And the thinking component, the analysis component, he probably just hasn't really done much of that yet. He's probably just kind of like, complete this, do this work, complete
Mhm.
this, you know what I mean? And not
Yeah.
thinking about, how he's changed or his reflecting on things.
Yeah.
How
The
recent.
product of COVID. A product of COVID.
Yeah.
Get that online work done so you can go do gaming.
Yep, get it done. I'm done.
Okay, Aubrey.
She's fine for me. I was just wondering how she was doing for Debbie.
So her writing, when she really needs like a lot of, her writing is good. Once we get over everything else, she requires so much hand holding, and she still can't figure out how to upload her paper herself or how to find her paper when she saved it to her computer or to the OneDrive. I mean, she's just,
A fear of getting anything wrong.
maybe that's what it is, but
And
I'm
so
not
she just
kidding.
won't do it until she's sure she's not going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
And then she'll try.
The good thing is she uses the office hours, she comes and gets help, but it's like I'm spending time with her in class, helping her do computer things
Mhm.
over and over again, the same computer things. And she gets tearful, like, I can't find my paper to upload it. And then I have to, and I'm sitting there and I finally sometimes just take over her computer and I find it in her files and I'm like, it's here. You saved it here.
Well, she wanted me to answer a question that was on the syllabus the other day. And I said, that is on your syllabus. I can't find the syllabus in Canvas. And I said, when you write an email that's professional, I'll answer your question, but you have to write me an email that's professional. And so she didn't email back, but then she caught me in the hall and I said, I handed you a syllabus at the beginning of the year as well, but it's also in your Canvas right along the left side that says syllabus. And so I don't know, she just struggles.
Yeah. And is there any kind of class for students to take to help them learn how to use their computer?
That ISIS 105, I was just going to suggest that. I mean, it's not computer, but it's all about doing things on the computer. And usually it's something that I never have students take, but it made me wonder. They learn about
A lot of
PowerPoint.
students fail that one because it's so like,
Yeah, it's not gonna help, it's not gonna
Yeah.
help her. She's
No.
not for this.
no, not for this.
This is just like a personal little glitch, not glitch, but little something.
No,
She's
she needs.
quirky.
Yeah, a lot of them seem like, there's several of them that seem like they got a new computer and they don't know how to run it. And I don't.
on
know
that bunch.
where-
Is it a PC or a Mac?
A lot of them get Max and then they struggle at Ferris.
And that's
because
like,
somebody
that's one of
needs-
my biggest pet peeves
Yeah.
is this, students, getting these Macs and people putting this like, oh, it's so expensive. And 90% of them, one, don't need it. 95% probably don't need it. And then they can't use it. And it's not productive. And it's the most irritating thing in the world because Macs are PowerPoint is so different on a Mac than it is on a PC. You don't have the same level of functionality.
Maybe
Uh,
that's something we should think for our
Well, actually,
future. Go ahead.
that was something that I meant to ask about, but I had brought this up last year, is we had talked about adding a computer to part of their supply list so their financial aid could cover it. Because we were talking about doing the FSUS, with it being online, and we didn't do that last fall because we had the discussion that we couldn't guarantee that everybody would have a computer. And I reached out to like academic affairs to find out what we would have to do to get students guaranteed to get computers. And the information I passed on to the group was if we made it one of their required materials that they needed to have a computer, just like they would need to have a textbook, that is something that could be added to their list of materials and therefore financial aid could cover it. So we had discussed last year adding a
They're
PC.
gonna want a Mac. It's kind of like,
But if we price it out and we put that this is the, if they decide to go for a different computer, that's on them. But putting a recommended model and having explanations in terms of, this is the recommended model, and even if they decide to spend more money on their own, that's on them. But we had actually talked about putting a computer as one of their required materials, pricing it out so that it's a reasonable, thing. And that way their financial aid could cover it.
Mhm.
And I meant to
Yours
ask
is an
about it,
HP, just to say.
Yep.
and this just reminds me of the fact that,
Yeah.
I had meant to ask about that over the summer, like what happened with adding a computer to make sure that everybody had one.
Yeah, and yeah.
Yeah, we need to be, and if we could send that out and say these work better with the system unless you're going into a certain major. I mean, Macs work well for certain majors.
That's what I'm saying. 95% of them don't need a Mac. It's a really small percentage that are going into, and they don't need that until they get into, like graphic design and like some of those types of courses. And I can understand, well, if I'm going to need it, I might as well, buy one now. But I don't think a lot of our students are going into graphic design.
No.
And therefore, having a Mac that runs those programs isn't necessary. And so many students run into problems, like they can't understand how to work it. And there are not really good tutorials out there for it. Trust me, I've had to find them. I've had to find the tutorials for students because they can't figure out how to do it on their own.
I don't know.
Okay, no, we gotta keep that.
Yeah.
We gotta keep
Mhm.
that in mind for
We
sure.
got to think about like,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do? But
Now,
then the other thing, one more thing about Aubrey is they turned in their papers. So I was like, so for fun, we're going to play my subordination coordination game, which is always like really engaging. They love to do it, and she came in, sat at the end of her group. She came in late. So she kind of sat at the end of the table and she put her head down and fell asleep so hard that the other girls were poking her and she wouldn't wake up. And then at the end, we had a conversation about the attendance because I'm trying to use this quiz thing to take attendance and it's not working greatly. And they were all asking, did you get that up? Because they are always checking on me to make sure I'm doing it right. So, because I said, help me with this, help me remember to, hit the button on that. And we had this whole conversation about it. And she woke up and said, what about the attendance? And everybody in the class kind of laughed.
Don't you have to
Because
be
number
present?
one, she'd come in late. Number two, she slept through class. Number three, she's asking a question we just discussed. And so I I'm a little fit to be tied with her. Her behavior is inappropriate for college, really. I mean, I understand the frustration about computers. I've had students like that, but I just feel like the whole combination with her, I don't know what's going on. And I don't know whether it's the medication.
She's definitely very like she's concerned about herself. She's very like egocentric. It's only worried about her, not really even cognizant of where she is in her surroundings.
Yeah.
And so yeah. I mean, I can talk with her. I don't mind.
That wouldn't hurt.
I'll do it.
Because she really, and I know she gave an excuse to me, but at the same time, it's rude. It was rude to her classmates. Here they are trying to, because it was to get full-size candy bars. Thank you very much. And and they were.
I wouldn't have given her participation. I would have marked her absent if she slept in my class.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about just saying you were present, but you weren't present. Like, how is that?
There's a difference. What are the two definitions of this?
Yeah.
So, okay, so Kristen's gonna talk to her.
I'll
and
talk with her.
I've got her
Yeah.
in yellow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take the whole
So,
thing.
Oh, it's okay.
The
It's good.
the next several are
I know.
Riley, Katrina, Alexis, Mackenzie, Rockney, and Ryan are all okay, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. But Bernila, not so
No,
much.
hang on, just let me get okay on these. And then, okay, so Bernila, that's the last one in this set. Yes, there's a problem, and it's a pretty big problem. Kristen and I talked about her yesterday.
She's disappeared.
She did the
to me.
makeup. Okay.
Completely disappeared. Not keeping up on assignments, not showing up for class, not communicating with me about it.
Yep. She came to my class once this week, but had never anything before that except for the first week. And then I thought, okay, maybe we made a turn on Tuesday, but did not show up on Thursday. So
Yeah, she has totally ghosted me. Like,
What about
I-
Lauren's class, Kirk?
She did the makeup quiz. Her attendance hasn't been good. But she
Maybe
did.
check with housing again.
I saw her last Friday and we talked, and so, and there are these health issues. And when I saw Kristen yesterday, I mentioned, what about, doing a medical withdrawal and backdated drops so she doesn't lose, the tip credit that she has now. But then when Kristen said Kristen wondered whether that would actually be the best thing for her given her home situation. And the more I thought about it, I thought, yeah, that's true. In other words, going home for her is worse than being here.
okay.
sometimes.
But
So
the
it's also hard.
question is, do we drop her down? So she has to have at least 6 hours to remain tip. And of course, if we drop her down, nothing would happen to her Pell Grant right now, but it would be affected going forward, how much money she would get from it. But the thing is that now one thing I am thinking about having her withdraw from right now, to simplify things, it might be the UNIV, because she was failing UNIV.
She's failing my class. She's probably failing all of them.
Yeah, I don't think she's actually failing math, but it's pretty close. But I don't know, what do you guys think? I mean, I could talk to her. We all need to talk to her, but the thing is that I have text with her and she responds to text messages. So
I'd make her go to ECDS if she's going to stay. She has to do something to get support, and if she's not, then that just means that she's not.
Yeah.
You know,
So
willing.
she's passing my class right now, but she didn't turn in her last paper. So this paper will nosedive her if she doesn't get it in. So yeah, I agree with Kristen. She needs to see that she needs to go to them. She needs to get accommodations. She needs to contact me. and get that paper in before I finish the grading conferences, which is next Friday. And she
Mhm.
could potentially pass my class. And I would even be I would be willing to work with an attendance, they have an
Uh-huh.
attendance
The attendance is,
accommodation.
yeah, exactly.
And I could work with her online. I would be willing to do that because she's a good enough writer. Like I'm not,
Yeah.
like, her skill is good. She's just killing herself by not
Yeah.
having,
And she has too many other things that are in that she'd get in trouble with. And if she can do the attendance modification because of her health concern, then she could pass, because I'm sure everybody would work with her in an online format and support and kind of get her try to ease her back into coming more often, like, work with that. But she has to do that first.
All right. I
Because
will,
she definitely has nerve issues. It's very much related to nerves.
yeah, I'm not disputing that, but she claims she has a long-term gastrointestinal issue. She went to the ER for that.
Mm-hmm.
The doctors at ER are only going to give her enough to make sure she doesn't croak. Her GI specialist is out of the country right now, I guess, and isn't in practice with anybody, so no one can handle her case. And I guess she also has scoliosis, and I guess that's bad enough that she's on the brink of needing surgery for that. But the home situation she would go back to is worse than being here and not doing anything. So
I'm such a bad human being. I really am. Like I feel really bad, when students are in these situations, but how much can we drag them? She hasn't done, anything in my class other than the first two assignments. And when she sent that one email saying she went to the health center, I emailed her back saying, I'm really sorry you're in this situation. Can you let me know what assignments will be impacted by this? And she never contacted me. Like she hasn't reached out for anything. And if she's not talking to us, I'm very sorry that going back home is a bad situation. I'm really sorry but we can't force her to do this. And as much as I want financial aid to be there for students, it has to be there for students that are doing something. And if we're abusing the situation and trying to find ways to just keep her on campus so that she doesn't have to go home, but she's not willing to even go and talk to her professors, what can we legitimately do? I mean, yes, make the recommendation that she go talk to disability services. But quite honestly, if she doesn't go and talk to them, then the hands have to go up and we can't really do anything. We can't drag some of these students. We had this conversation about another student who I think maybe had legal issues. This was like a cohort or so ago where we want to, and I want to be there to help as many, but if they're not going to take those steps, then unfortunately, sometimes you have to cut bait. As horrible as it is, but it kind of goes with, a book I've got on my shelf, The Courage to Teach, and if we focus, and this is why we did this whole, systematic list, is if we end up focusing on one student and really busting our butts, but they're not, if they've got health concerns, if they've got all these other things, well, maybe it's not the right time for them right now, and they have to get healthy in a variety of different ways. So I'm sorry, again, I'm a bad human being. Make the suggestion that she go to disability services. If she gets accommodations, then we work within those parameters. Yep. But if she's not, and there has to be a deadline because that stuff is technically not retroactive.
Right. And see, and you know what? You're not being a bad person. It was my initial thought was she needs to do what I want to do for her is she isn't ready to be here. And so my thing was I want to get her out of here because I don't want her to lose a whole semester's worth of tip. In other words, if we play this right, she could go home. She basically could start again next year and have a clean slate. Now, the housing and stuff, they will take off you know, she will lose a percentage of what was paid out. But from a financial angle, it would be better, it would be easier for us as a group. In other words, we'd be more productive. We would serve our current students better if we didn't have to deal with her, with dealing with her. And so until I ran into Kristen yesterday, I was thinking, you know what? I need to do medical. I need to push a medical withdrawal.
Yeah.
And I think
And-
we can get a, and the thing is, she can produce the documentation. And because the health professions people are supportive of what we're trying to do, I think I can get Angie Ryan or John Cowles to go along with doing the drop so that she doesn't, you know, use up any tip. The Pell is different because I can't really legitimately ask housing or food service to, you know, give her a full refund. But
it's just when we kept the reference
But-
kept getting made to like her home situation being worse. That's where, you know, we start getting into that, and it kind of, you know, well, how do we, you know, help her
We
to stay
can't.
here to avoid, and it's
we
just,
can't.
you
Well,
know,
the
if she's
thing-
not
But I
willing.
think we do need to give her a week. I think we need to do like 1, 2, 3. 1, you contact ECDS and get an accommodation by next Friday, and you contact your professors in the courses that you're still getting that you know, like these courses, and we can list those. Like it may be like that FSUS she's just done, but in my class she could still pass. She's
Uh-huh.
at 72. So
Well,
she could still pass,
there-
but I think we need to say by this date, you do this, or else then we look at a medical withdrawal.
There's a reason why in all the classes I teach, you know, whether it's FSUS writing or whatever, that I
Mhm.
have, students may hate me for it, but I intentionally have low stakes assignments in there so that if you're not the strongest in certain areas, they can balance out. So there is still enough of the semester where if she started doing her journal entries and things of that nature, that grade can, I mean, she's not going to obviously get a 100%, but she can pass the class and do fairly well. So it's not that she has to write it off. It's just to this point,
Yeah.
she's got a 15.18%.
Yep.
You know, in the class, and you know, but yeah, I mean, we could, you know, if you do this by, because we're getting, I mean, things are just getting harder. So, you know, she needs to get in there. You know, technically, none of that stuff is retroactive. You know, so she just gets the accommodation now. You know, it doesn't apply to what came before, but she needs it right now. And if she's not able to do that, then it is, you know, you really should, you know, cut bait, and, you know, she should, you know, go focus on getting herself healthy. Yeah, I mean, the organization, you know, part of things, which is something I went over with everybody who met with me. So she didn't get to have that conversation.
Well, she does, yeah, organization's a problem for sure. And the part of the reason we met last Friday is because she didn't know where I brought up the UNIV thing, and then she responded that she didn't know what her schedule was. And of course, that was crap because it was like, you know, I went over the schedules with all these guys when I registered them, you know, during the summer. So it's like, give me a break. I mean, I even showed them where the concise student schedule and the, you know, week at a glance stuff is. But I gave her a copy of her schedule last week. But the part of the reason I'm kind of siding with Kristen, I mean, I'm siding with Heather on this one, is because the conversation that you guys are talking, we need to have with her, I've kind of already had. And what she does is she plays a good game of nodding that she needs to get it together and stuff. But the thing is, she's not doing anything to follow through. And so, you know, that was the meeting I had with her last week. And so she got a follow-up email from me about organization and the things that she needs to do. And she hasn't done any of that stuff. So I really am to a point where, you know, and it might even shake her up a little bit to really think about, well, these people are telling me to go home. And it's like, yeah, we are telling you to go home. And if you want to stay, you have to make a different choice. So it's a
She
hard.
has to do it.
Yeah, exactly. She
Mhm.
has to do it.
Yeah.
And this is, and we've had enough of these cases that over this, you know, over the time we've been doing this, where we get fixated as a group And I get fixated in the advising of focusing on 1 or 2 students, and then the students who deserve and need, the support don't get it, because it's like we're spending all of our time on, the crazies. So, yeah, I hear that. So my attitude, I put her in red. My thing is, anybody who wants to talk to her, go for it. I will text her and see, and make her get in here. She can at least come to see me in my office if she's not going to go to class. And I think I'm going to suggest, if you're going to stay, these are the things you need to do. Otherwise, you need to go home. And my thing to her will be, this is not a punishment. The reason why I'm pushing you to go home is because I'm trying to make sure that you have full access and use of your TIP funding, which she will need if you're going to go to college. And being here for a semester and burning up 15 hours of TIP funding doesn't make any sense, because you can't get it back.
She might not know that she'd be kicked out of school.
Yeah, she might not know,
Mm-hmm.
because I can bring up even the academic dismissal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because my thing would be, you'll get dismissed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of them don't know about that.
Mm.
So
That
anyway,
should be something you talk about in there when you meet with them about, staying
Yeah, I
in
don't have-
college.
right, I don't have to obviously talk to all of them about it, but some of them, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The difference between high school and college.
Mhm.
It is a difference, yep, and they don't realize it. So sorry, so we're done with the 6th group, so I will shut up so Beth can move on to the other one.
All right. I just put some quick watch biology, but I think there's a lot that are actually doing really well, at least in math. I don't know if there's anyone in trouble, but
Lydia and William.
Lydia, math help, and William.
Lydia got a 13 out of 25 on the quiz, but she came to Lauren for help during office hours, and so she's on top of it. That's what Lauren's saying. And William, it was the 14.5 out of 25 on the quiz. But Lauren didn't list anybody else for Math 120.
All right. So Ryan threw, I guess, Jacob. I'm assuming that everything's okay, Debbie?
Doing well. This class is just, yeah. It's like a total turnaround from last year, I have a feeling.
I know.
They're looking out for each other. I had them working in groups, doing that game, and one group was not doing well. It was Nathan and Dylan were in that group because they're from and one of the other groups was like, we're winning, so we're just going to join them and help, and all our points will go for them, and we're going to help them. And they got over, and they were over the shoulders, and they were like helping them learn. So I was like, look at you, like you're like, they're just amazing. Yeah.
How about Elika in your class?
Oh my God.
Elika.
Elika is her draft was good, and I'm expecting her final to be good, but she has did I talk to you guys when she was cutting in my class, right? That she was actually physically cutting herself, and I went and I guess I just talked to you.
Yeah.
Beth. And I also went and talked to Cindy over in, or not, yeah, Cindy, and I think it was Cindy in ED and ECDES, or how are you? Yeah. And they put her, and I've actually, Angela Roman is watching her and interacting with me now because she's on the Persons of Concern Committee's watch list now. Because of that. And she does, in my class, she does sometimes get teary, but the thing is, those kids are watching her, because the reason I knew she was cutting was because Taylor told me, And the reason I knew to run down the hall after her was because Kelly and Sienna were watching and saw her go when I was talking to them, and I said, I've got to go. And they were like, yeah, go. And I ran out down the hall after her because she went to the bathroom. And I talked to her and got her to call her mom. So, I feel like academically, she's doing okay. And she's got a lot of support from her fellow students, but she really is on the edge. She is really on the edge.
Do you think there's anything we need to actively be doing at this point?
No,
More
because I
just
feel like,
yeah,
I feel like
we're
now that,
watching her.
yep, now that she's on the committee's watch list and because Angela Roman is watching her through the whatever. I forget everybody's name, what everybody's doing over there. She's watching her through student life and housing. You know, they're keeping an eye on her. And so I'd like to keep her in yellow just because I feel like we need to be aware that she is very precarious mentally and emotionally, but academically right now, she's right there with everybody else in my class. So she's another one who needs that help doing the simple things with the computer.
Yeah.
But she does it in a different way. And once I help her, sometimes she doesn't remember, but she tends to be able to, like, if I get her to where she was before, then she remembers the steps and can go from. So I feel like if I compare her to Aubrey, she's much more self-sufficient in that case than Aubrey is.
She
So.
tends not to want to write things. Like if she feels like she's unsure, she shuts completely down. But if she's happy, she seems like she participates. It's so weird.
Mhm.
And sometimes, that sleepy look about her, sometimes she doesn't have it. And it's so strange. I don't understand it, to be honest with you. I don't know what her issue is, whether it is medication or I don't know.
Yeah. But she is one. So the one thing is, if she looks like she's having a hard day, she did cut herself in my class.
Well, what was she using? A razor?
Her nails.
Or like
She
were pointed like razors.
Yeah, she had very sharp nails that day. She's changed her nails since then, but she had very sharp fake nails. And she was scratching her arms and drawing blood. And then when I went to look, she put her, Taylor could see it, but she put her sleeves down. So we just need to be aware that she is very precarious if she's having a hard day.
So she's got some emotional impairment,
Right.
probably.
Yes.
Okay, so we're at Elika.
Yep.
Elizabeth, is there anyone else as we go down that list? Because I think it's just you, Debbie, because we got the math in there.
Yeah, she's doing well. I mean, she's very needy, but she's doing well. So she's very afraid. She's needs reassurance, but she's doing fine.
A lot of people express anxiety about English for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just I don't know. They're always working on their English.
Well, they're math people. They're math science people. They like it. They don't like English as much.
Right. But everybody else is doing.
I put some biology just because they were on the lower end of biology. I put those in yellow just to make sure that I pay attention to them. And I'm going to really start annoying them about biology in the study. And then what about Tony Weber?
So I do want to mention Natalie had another seizure this week.
Yes.
And didn't come to class, but she's keeping up with her assignments. She did turn her assignment in, so.
Same thing in math. She didn't come, was it Tuesday or Wednesday? And then she sent a note to Paul Plott about biology as well.
So
And I wonder if it was triggered from getting her biology degree or biology score
The nervous.
stress related.
because she didn't do well on it. right?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Do you want me to put her in yellow or?
Her grade's fine. I guess
I'll put her in yellow.
I have a
Um,
in FSUS. I have a few students that are in kind of like the,
Oh,
the
good.
the C range, but the only student it's like a few C's, which again lots of room to be able to move up from that. But the only one that I have that's a problem is Tony Weber, the one that you were just getting to,
Okay.
and they have a 20.56.
wow.
Oh,
Because they just haven't been submitting. They never, even how I reached out, hey, let's have a conference, hasn't met with me, has not been doing their, journal entries, just pretty much just ignoring the class.
okay.
And I get it, it's an online class and people can complain that they, oh, I don't want to do an online class. But for the most part, the class is go to a website, write a 250 word response to what you saw on this resource that's available to you as a Ferris student. And then the other discussion activities might be read a few paragraphs and respond to what you wrote about, write about self-management and then respond. I mean, it's not like I'm asking them to do particularly difficult things. It's all for the most part meant to be think about stuff, low stakes assignments, and just, as long as you did it and you did the word count, let me give you credit because it's just, learning about things and he's not doing anything at all.
And
Improved
what
in
about
English.
English?
He improved in English. He started talking to me. He turned in his paper. He is coming today for his grade. He signed up for one of the earlier grade conferences. So I'm happy in English, but
Okay, I'm gonna talk to him again about FSUS
Yeah,
and
he
stress
needs
that if he
to-
doesn't do anything, he's gonna fail and he's gonna have to retake that class. It's a requirement of the university.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The president requires it. It's not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. How about Elia? I'm gonna try to,
Excellent.
I can't get her name in my head. Do you know how to pronounce it?
Elia.
Elia.
Hmm.
I was right.
100%.
Elia and Elika were so hard for me at the beginning. Watching math. Okay.
She's
Uh,
doing great in my class, like really great in my class. So
Yeah, I'm gonna encourage.
maybe she needs to look into an arts major. No, I'm just
What I just always think is funny is that people are like, oh, I'm a science and math person. And I'm just like, yeah, because you never write in those fields ever. You never need to use words. Oh, I'm a business major. Yeah, you never need to use words in business. It's just like, it's like how I really wish I could figure out the magic key to get people to wake up and realize the fact that words matter in all fields. In all fields.
So I do want to share something personal that she wrote in her essay that I think may impact her slightly. And it's an emotional thing, so it's not about her academics, I know, but she had a brother who really influenced her academically and was kind of a leader for her. And he died this year, and he was supposed to come to Ferris with her this year.
Oh,
And she wrote about that in her paper, in her literacy narrative, because she talked about how he was the reason that she takes risks in writing and works hard and tries to keep an open mind. And I, and I thought that was just really interesting that she's, in the paper, she was like, yeah, we were supposed to both come to Ferris this year.
mhm.
So not that it's really academic, but it does provide a little insight to her.
Well, it might provide some of her drive for things.
Yes. I think she's here to,
Honor him.
right, do the right thing. You know, do what he would have done. So,
And I think most people are doing well, both in both C4s, Kirk, as far as coming to study session at least once. I don't think I've had anybody that's not, but I'm gonna try to encourage it more.
Yeah, study session attendance so far is better than it was last year,
That's what I think too.
for sure. Yes.
Okay.
And in Lauren's math class, if they don't go to one study session, it counts as a point against their attendance. And when they heard that, they were like, ooh. You know what I mean? They heard that it was required, but they didn't know how it was required. And then they started coming at least
Well,
once.
and I mean, I even got Ben to show up once this week. To which, right in the session, I said, "Thank you, Jesus." Wait, Debbie, your thing's off.
I assumed she was like talking to somebody else.
yeah,
but
nope, I was, I was looking at the spreadsheet. I was saying if you compare the colors to last year, it's so much better.
I was even counting the C4 original and it looks better too. I mean, at first it seemed like we were spending a lot of time talking about people that were in trouble. And then I counted, I'm like, actually, it looks like people are still doing okay in general as a group.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
So is
think,
that the early recruiting?
well, you know, we did, well, this,
Like what-
yeah, this
yeah, what-
group, there wasn't anybody. They were all earlier. They were all earlier and they all, yes.
But not in the STEM group.
Yeah, the STEM group was not,
I think I got someone right before school.
yeah.
I don't remember.
And
which
how are
one.
they doing color wise on here, Mary?
I think one was Elia, so it's just her biology that I just put the biology grade in there because
That's
if they
good.
got below a 70, I
Mhm.
just highlighted it because that's for the science. If they can't
That's
get
important.
up, yeah,
Yeah.
then they're not going to succeed.
Right.
I made
Um,
notes of everyone so that I can touch base with their mentors too. So
So
that
are we?
I won't explain everything, but I'll say just making sure that you're focusing on academics and, you know, encouraging them to go to get support for certain things.
So I want to go back to Brenila.
Renila,
So are we all going to email and say the same thing? Like, because we kind of left who's doing it blank. So is it going to be that all instructors are going to email and say, you must do ECDS? You must
I
be
just
in
sent her a
contact
text.
with me.
I just sent her a text message. And I told her, I said, you know, I said, you're not going to class. I said, you and I need to talk again. And I said, this is not judgment. But I said, we've got to plot a path forward. So I'm going to, if she responds to me, I'm going to tell her she has to go to ECDS, but I'm also going to tell her she's got to go to class.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is going to be, I'm going to tell her that I'm looking right now personally at preserving her funding going forward. And I'll say at this point, I'll say you're on a path right now where you are going to be academically dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you will be kicked out of school, which means you will have to sit out a semester, go somewhere else, get 12 hours that you pass before you'd be allowed to be back here. And the other thing I'm going to remind her, since she thinks she wants to do nursing, is you got to have a 2.75 to do nursing, and you got to basically you have to have a B- or better grade in science and math. And if you don't, they're not going to let you in. So, and I haven't told her the case about Natalia, where, you know, Natalia is flying high as one class in nursing that she passes. And because she didn't get a high enough score in that nursing course, she was booted out of the program.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
I'll just say,
that's one of those like those weird areas when the students come in with this desire for nursing. I've gotten to the point where I have to sit there and I don't even talk about the minimums. You know, I'm like, you need to pass these classes on your first go round. You know, the idea of that you can take this class up to twice before you can get this, you know, this grade. That actually it's in writing, but that's not the reality. Like you have to get, you know, this minimum grade or better your first shot. Ignore the fact that you can take this twice. You know, ignore the fact that it's like this 2 point. No, you need a 3 point to a 4 point because it is so competitive to get into these programs. You can't listen to these minimums. And it's really frustrating when you've got students that, you know, that are in this situation that they want to be nurses. It's like you can't say, oh, you can take this class once and you can't afford to meet this minimum. You need to be at the maximum, like right off of the bat, you know, in that respect. And so that your argument with her, you know, I think is good, but I think we need to emphasize the fact that no, you need to be spot on first time. And if you don't feel like you're ready to be spot on, then, you know, it might be a good time to take a step back and make sure you're ready to hit the ground running and you
yeah,
feel good about you.
I tell nursing students the Natalia story without mentioning Natalia. I'll say we had a C4 student who was basically carrying a 3.8 GPA. And I'll say she got booted from the program after she had been accepted and she had passed the class, but didn't pass it with a high enough average. And I'll say nursing is I refer to it as it's a take no prisoners field. If you don't do exactly what they say and you aren't shooting for the maximum, you're out. You won't make it. So it's the message I gave to Jenna Becker over the summer. Because she and I met and her mom joined us. And I just said, Jenna, you're not on a path that you're ever going to get into nursing. So she's going to do health professions, but she's going to, she's thinking about radiography. And yeah, it's not even.
It's just not real for many students. It's just not real.
It
It's like,
isn't.
oh, I'm gonna, they've just had it as a dream and not really a goal. And they just kind of
Right.
think, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Well, it's like the thing
Oh.
with Ashlyn Anderson about wanting to be, pre-vet. Like her sister, Elena, it's much more realistic because Elena wants to do criminal justice. That actually makes some sense because that's a program you can navigate, right? And Elena
Yeah.
even has a goal of what she wants to do when she gets out. But Ashlyn doesn't have as much ability as Elena. And that's before the accident. The idea, and it's Emma Farrer is another one. I mean, she wants to be pre-med. And my thing is, you can't be pre-med and do what you're doing. You can't just sort of not go to class and not do this and not do that. You have to be maxing out right from the beginning. So it's the same with every C4 group we've ever brought in.
There's always something.
The students have these lofty goals, but they have no idea of the price that's going to be extracted if they want to really do that. And the ones who have figured that out right away, like, Colin, Saloy, and why can't I think of it? I went to her graduation party. You guys know anyway, the one who graduated with nursing this year. The Hispanic girl. Damn.
Leonora.
Yeah, thank you. Leonora. Or, you know, the student who ended up doing social work, she was referred to as a rock star by Dawn Fox. I'm losing track, but anyway, we've had but those are students that made a deep commitment to the programs that they wanted to do, and they knew what they knew what they had to do. And the other ones just kind of, a lot of the other ones just kind of play at it. And
That's no different than a lot of students in college, though.
oh, it is. It isn't any different, except the one thing I'll say about C4 students is that when you come to college and you've got 3 developmental placements, your hill to climb is higher than it is for a student who comes in here with a 1200 SAT. You know,
We get very many of those.
yeah, we actually do.
Oh, good.
I mean, you know, we get students here who, you know, they don't have any developmental placements. They're ready to start right from the beginning. And in a lot of the cases, they still have to do, you know, work to make it. But the kinds of students that we're getting, analytical subject areas are particularly difficult for them. And they don't recognize, they still don't recognize how far behind they really are. You know, that they are
Self-awareness.
And it's awareness. And it's the thing that, Kristen, you talked about a zillion times, right?
That's what they struggle with. They think they're here and they're not there.
That's right. And
there are really few of them that think they're here, but they're really here. Most of them think they're here, but they're really there.
Yeah. And there's a complete lack of self-awareness. And it was interesting when I did the 2 Anderson sisters and I registered in this summer, their mom was talking about how they had done so well in high school. I mean, she was clearly very proud of them and everything, but it was like there was such a disconnect between what the reality is of where they are coming in as students and what they think they are.
They did school well. They're kind and well-mannered.
And they don't really understand at all. The parents don't understand even what they're getting into. And what was interesting this week when I met with Aubrey, she was in my office and she looked at something and she said, "Did you go to," she couldn't pronounce it. She couldn't pronounce Notre Dame. She didn't know enough about higher education to know about that particular institution. And I'm thinking, this is a first generation college kid who doesn't know anything. It's, you know,
it's a whole new world.
It's a whole
So
new
you have
world.
to really watch that imposter syndrome for our students, because some of them get here and they're just such a deer in headlights that they shut down and then they don't go forward.
And see, what I see with Aubrey is that Aubrey wants to, but she doesn't know how. And what she does is she plays this kind of victim. She plays this victim / learned helplessness thing. And she somehow thinks that she's going to be successful with that. And it's like, no way. And that's where I think conversations that you guys have with her about, like, you know, you can't act like the damsel in distress all the time, you know. But and she's another one who thinks she wants to do nursing. So it's
Yep.
But overall, I think Debbie's right. I think the two groups seem to be better. And I don't know why.
So last year when you sent out invitations, did you send them at the same time? Because you also finished early last year.
I did,
but not quite as early as this year.
I don't know if it's that, or it was interesting because I overheard Jean Walling telling Amy this week that one of the classes that she had a lot of A's. I wonder if we're starting to come out of the fog of the pandemic. And that we're going to start getting groups that are going to be more like C43, which was a very successful group. I mean, that's the one that had Colin and Leonora and Colton, and I mean some really strong kids. As opposed to C44, which was the one, which was the first group after the pandemic.
I still have students talking about how they didn't have science in person. You know what I mean? So they're still commenting on, oh, I didn't learn anything because it was the pandemic. I didn't have that class. Yeah.
So it may not be.
And the teacher shortage and the quality of education is not the best right now.
I think they're still catering to it in the high schools, and they're just letting people turn things in whenever they want still. But maybe it's getting a little bit better. I don't know.
And the O10, and I'm teaching Math 010, which is that pre-algebra course, and it's not a college class. I mean, I'm about ready to send back to Lowell and ask them if I can have detention forms, because it's like, you know, they're on their, you know, they get on their phones, they talk, and it's, I feel like I'm having to, and I gave the easiest test I've ever given to a group of students in my entire career. And that group did worse than any group I've had take a test last week.
So they really don't know.
And I had to redo that. They did a redo yesterday of that. And I'll have to look and see, but.
What are they struggling with, Kirk?
Oh God, I mean, we're doing.
It's multiplication, I'm sure, but what are they?
No, we're doing sign number arithmetic and order of operations. And they can't, and it's the sign number arithmetic. I mean, they miss stuff that they would have had in 7th or 8th grade, and it's just like they don't.
They have no number sense.
Yeah, it's that, but it's even like they aren't even remotely serious about being a student.
Oh.
And now part of it could be because I'm teaching the class. I'm really starting to think that but it's just, I've never seen anything like it. You know, I mean,
so there would be a serious disconnect if these individuals came from really poor school districts, right? Their level of preparedness would be much different than, you know, other districts. And does it seem like it's probably connected to that at all?
It's connected to that. And, you know, without, some of it's a race issue.
That's what I was going to say. Well, those are going to be the poor. That's going to be poor.
It's not really race. It's where those kids came from.
Socioeconomic.
And what happens is, because there's such a small percentage of the student population, when they're together, that social element to them is really, really important, because they have to feel that for a sense of belonging. And so the thing is that I have a math major who's assisting me with the class, and I know he's frustrated, but I've told him, I said, if I come down really hard on this group, I'm going to lose them. So
you do mastery learning. That's where I would do a mastery learning.
We're kind of doing that.
Okay.
We're because I'm not letting them. There's certain things they just have to do.
Yeah.
And I look at it. I don't care if we don't get to any algebra this semester. If I can just get them to get better number sense, and they'll be ready. You know, as far as I'm concerned, they'll be ready to move on.
What I would do years ago is I would put the first things that we learned, it would always be on every quiz. So they see
Yeah.
every time, and then they
Mhm.
just they get success with that. And then like the next thing is something that they've seen before get success. And I would weight it different so that when you get to the very new stuff, it might not be weighted as much, but you know, they had seen the other stuff and they're keep learning it because they still have to know it, and they keep showing me that they know how to do it. And then, you know, just keep increasing and adding a little bit more and a little bit more. But they could go through those faster because they knew them.
Yep.
And then you put your new stuff on there. Some of them could do really well, but if somebody got some things wrong, they still have some things that they're doing right. And it kind of helps with a little bit of confidence, but it always puts it in their face so they can't forget it,
That's
which
really
helps
good.
with that
Yeah. Yep.
mastery.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that kind of thing with this group. So. And see, so I'm really, so like Mary Baxter is like this master person of being a hard nose, but it's like it never comes across as being, you know, a prick. She has that secret sauce on that. So when she teaches O10, it works really well. Like she has a really tight structure. If I did that, it would bomb because they would completely shut down. And that's what I have to avoid. So it's I'm glad I'm not teaching this class, and it was, you know, it's 25 years ago, because it would be a
Well, the type of student you would have that would be in college 25 years ago is a different student.
that's true. It's just really humbling teaching developmental students. I mean, it's really, really hard. And a lot of people who teach higher education don't realize it require you, it's a whole lot harder to teach, you know, this group than it was to do the calculus class I did last spring.
It's emotionally draining.
It just, so.
And you actually have to teach. You have to figure out how to teach it and break it apart. When you're teaching your calculus, you tell them how to do it. If they don't get it, they will go home and they will like push themselves to understand
They'll
it.
figure it out. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, are we doing anything else?
I don't think so. How are we doing on the recording of stuff? And I mean, are we getting data that you and Jessica are going to be able to work with?
I'm not sure where the recording for last week went. It
Oh,
didn't come down on my computer, and I don't think today's is coming down. So are those whoever is getting those showing up on your
When
computer?
Heather last time, it went away, so it was never on again.
So Heather, did that come to you? And do you want to just throw it up into a folder?
Let me take a look.
And it may come to you today because I think you might have been the first on too.
Last week's may have gone back to Lauren because Heather had to step out early, remember? And then she passed the thing to Lauren. So Lauren may have last week's.
But once Heather left, it was not recording anymore.
Oh, that's
Remember we
true.
talked about that?
Yeah, that's right.
So we just need to figure out where that went. Could the answer is yes if we have that, and then we've got this here. So, and then I talked to Tab because I am her mentor, and I talked to her about
You mean their mentor?
Their mentor. Sorry, I've got to stop. I have got to get better.
I haven't met Tab.
They're
Debbie,
they're an excellent developmental teacher. Like
Yeah.
right now, they're just doing amazing things with 074.
Okay, wonderful.
So, but they like our department tends to advise new faculty to teach, to go to the new faculty orientation, and to maintain a low profile otherwise. Like we really try to emphasize, like, don't let anyone grab your time. And so I mentioned that they are welcome to come to these, and they said they would try. but they also may take the ability to not do anything extra. You know, like, because that's like, that really is the mantra of our department, is like, we do not let people serve on committees. I mean, they can be on a committee, but then we're like, but then don't do anything. If you're on there, you're just there to learn about it. But we're really, that's, you know, like Jody really pushes that.
Unless
And
you're
you're-
me and you've got, you know, David, what's his face, that forces you to be on a committee because why not?
Yeah,
I'm in.
yeah.
David Russell, that was his name. See, I'm sad to say that he was so forgettable that I forgot his last name, even though he was my coworker.
And he was your mentor.
No, that was Tracy. David Russell was not my mentor.
And I didn't mean to correct you. It's just that I have to, you know, I screwed up during their interview. And then I tried to be, it's just like I'm trying to
You
be.
didn't try to tell a
sensitive.
joke, did you, Kirk?
No, I'm trying to be sensitive about it.
Yeah.
But the other thing with them is that it would be nice if the English language could find a pronoun that is gender neutral without having to be plural.
Yeah. But APA, and you know, and this is the thing I can, and Heather's position is a good position because it's APA's position. All pronouns are they. Like they is the pronoun.
What do you do when somebody says my pronouns are this though, and they don't want to be referred to as they? Because, you know, people say these are my pronouns.
Yeah.
Or are we getting away from that as a society?
I think we're
Don't
trying to
know.
be honoring to everybody.
Yeah, I know.
What are you
But-
talking about, Kristen? What's this?
Well, she said if we could just refer to everybody as they, and I said, well, sometimes people will say my pronouns are this, and they
Like
don't have
he,
they in
she,
it.
or-
You know what I mean?
What do they have? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, they say he,
Then
he
he,
or she, or,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and they want to be called that because they don't like the idea of they.
They, right. Yep.
But technically in writing,
writing.
you know,
Yeah,
APA is saying they, you know,
Yeah.
and if we use they, then we'll tend to not usually,
yeah.
but
It's just where it's so ingrained in talking with one person sometimes.
yeah,
And
I
so-
just, yeah, it could be that eventually our language, like, because whom is becoming is no longer really a distinction. I mean, there are a few people who are still sticklers for that,
Mhm.
but for the most part, whom is not and like, I'm no longer teaching the everyone, everybody singular
Mhm.
because of APA, because everyone, everybody can be they now,
Uh-huh.
according to APA formatting. And so I no longer teach the singular relative pronoun lesson that I used to teach. Subject verb agreement, or subject, you know, pronoun agreement thing that that's not an
Oh,
issue
yeah, I see that.
anymore. Relative pronouns are no longer singular because of that. So I wonder if 10 years from now, it won't even be like, it'll just be they.
Maybe we won't discuss gender so much because, you know, just pretty much something we've come up with.
Right, yeah, just like who and
Yeah.
whom. It's who and whom is disappearing. I really believe that eventually our grammar books will no longer distinguish who and whom, and it'll just be who. Maybe. I don't know, but
Or something new will come out.
yeah. Or that, it could be that, which I worry about a little bit because especially in scientific studies, I like to emphasize that it should be who, because those are people. They are not, like when there's a scientific medical study that has to do with people, I still feel like it should be who, to remind us all those are people.
Yeah.
They're not things.
They're not just subjects.
Yeah. But who knows?
Actually, subject is what many use.
Yeah.
Subjects.
the subjects.
Yeah.
But
That's the people.
whether they then say that or who,
That's what Debbie's getting at.
yeah.
Ah,
Like the subjects who did this or the subjects that do that, to me makes a difference on how you perceive them. Whether
yeah,
you
I would use that.
yeah, because that's what all the scientists are doing, really. Yeah.
So that's changing as well.
Yeah.
If I can
Mhm.
interrupt for just one moment, do you want like the video with audio, or do you just want the audio?
It'd be nice to have the video with audio because then I can it's a little easier to do the, to put the, not the names, but T1, T2 to separate it out when I do the transcript. So I can watch the video and see who's talking and quickly put the name there. And then, but Tab is very interested in looking at the transcripts and the discourse analysis stuff. So, because they have that was their entire dissertation. So,
Nice.
they're stronger than I am in discourse analysis. So I'm
Oh,
looking forward
nice.
to them being involved in that. And then, there was one other thing I wanted to say about something and I don't know what it was. So, yep.
When you create a course in like a dev shell course, I usually just always do one manual created. If you do like a Ferris or something like that, does it matter? Or those are just titles that are under mine? Anybody know? I'll just go with manual.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I answered my own question. I'll just go with manual. Never mind.
Okay.
I thought I could explain it better, but I don't think I can. So.
All right, so I'm gonna get off because I have a grading conference after this, and so I'm gonna get myself ready for that, so.
Okay. See you guys in a couple weeks.
The recordings
Okay.
will be uploaded today from last
thank
meeting
you.
and today.
Oh, great, thank you, appreciate it.
Have a good
Okay.
couple weeks or a week whenever we see each
too.
other again.
Bye.
Are,
Bye.
are we all good, or do we have more?
We're all good.
All right. Everybody take care. Have a great weekend.
Bye, you two.